Some dreams require vision, others require nearly $1 million. Introducing Field 6.
Nearly $1 million for a softball field might be a perfectly defensible public investment. But that's not where the inquiry ends. Each week, the Hub Audit will take one Macon-Bibb project, expenditure, contract, or public claim and put it under the microscope. What was approved? How much did taxpayers actually spend? Who received the money? What was promised? What was delivered? And how does that spending compare with other needs competing for the same public resources? No automatic outrage, no automatic applause. Follow the documents, follow the money, audit the priorities. The Hub Audit coming weekly from Know Your Government. Even Barney Fife understood that carrying a badge did not mean unlimited police power. Andy kept his revolver unloaded and made him carry one bullet in his shirt pocket. And Barney was actually a deputy.
The important thing with any firearm is safety. Treat every gun as if it was loaded, and you never point a gun at anything if you don't intend to shoot. And when you're drawing a gun, removing a gun from the holster, you do it smoothly and safely. And when you return to the holster, you repeat the process smoothly and safely. Out smoothly and safely. Back smoothly and safely. You don't just jerk it out. That's dangerous. Smoothly and safely. Wait in the car.
So here's the question for Macon-Bibb County. Who actually authorized code enforcement officers to carry firearms and exercise law enforcement powers? Calling a department public safety is one thing. Legal authority is another. The records should show exactly who deputized whom, when, and what powers were actually granted. Even Barney had limits. Who authorized Macon-Bibb code enforcement? Know your government. Do you know who represents you and what decisions they're making with your tax dollars? Brought to you as a public service by Know Your Government, because accountability begins with an informed public.
Ever wonder how local governments secretly decide which public projects get built first? It's called priority inversion. When massive capital is needed, cities choose legal tools that completely dictate a project's speed. Take Macon-Bibb County. They authorized a $350 million entertainment arena and a $31 million jail renovation. But they put the public safety facility on a slow track. It relies on a voter-approved tax, public referendum, and time to collect. Here is the friction. If a $31 million project required a slow public vote, wouldn't a $350 million mega arena face an even steeper barrier? Actually, no. They used an intergovernmental agreement that completely bypasses a public vote, rapidly authorizing a massive funding ceiling. That is called a revenue bond. Visually, a thick legal firewall separates these two pipelines. They are legally distinct pots of money. The city couldn't just transfer the arena's cash to the jail. Because the funds are locked, the financial choice itself becomes the priority, assigning the fast, massive legal tool to entertainment while leaving public safety in the slow, voter-dependent lane. So what happened to those two specific projects? The fast-tracked arena advances while the public safety facility waits.
represents you, and what decisions they're making with your tax dollars. Brought to you as a public service by Know Your Government, because accountability begins with an informed public.
Ever wonder how local governments secretly decide which public projects get built first? It's called priority inversion. When massive capital is needed, cities choose legal tools that completely dictate a project's speed. Take Macon-Bibb County. They authorized a $350 million entertainment arena and a $31 million jail renovation, but they put the public safety facility on a slow track. It relies on a voter-approved tax, public referendum, and time to collect. Here is the friction. If a $31 million project required a slow public vote, wouldn't a $350 million mega arena face an even steeper barrier? Actually, no. They used an intergovernmental agreement that completely bypasses a public vote, rapidly authorizing a massive funding ceiling. That is called a revenue bond. Visually, a thick legal firewall separates these two pipelines. They are legally distinct pots of money. The city couldn't just transfer the arena's cash to the jail. Because the funds are locked, the financial choice itself becomes the priority, assigning the fast, massive legal tool to entertainment while leaving public safety in the slow, voter-dependent lane. So what happened to those two specific projects? The fast-tracked arena advances while the public safety facility waits. Local leaders in Macon-Bibb County have authorized up to $350 million in revenue bonds to finance a new downtown arena. The design plans include luxury suites, sightline-optimized seating, and a facade built from locally manufactured clay brick to honor the region's heritage. This graphic outlines the stark financial contrast. On the left, authorized financing for the arena. On the right, the county's primary law enforcement center, receiving an expansion estimated up to $31 million. Those funds cover prefabricated metal additions, openly described as a temporary fix. Comparing these two projects raises a specific question about municipal governance. How does a local government decide which public needs are treated as permanent civic monuments and which are managed as deferred liabilities? A common political defense of this disparity is that the funding comes from completely different, legally restricted accounts. The arena relies on revenue bonds issued by the Urban Development Authority. The jail expansion is funded by a voter-approved Special Purpose Local Option Sales Tax, or SPLOST. Legally, officials cannot simply drain the UDA account and transfer that capital to the detention center. But while the financing structures are different, the decision-makers are part of the same consolidated government. Elected leaders chose which financial mechanisms to deploy and at what scale. When a municipality demonstrates the administrative agility to structure hundreds of millions of dollars for entertainment, the ongoing decay of essential safety infrastructure reflects a specific choice of priority. The arena project is the result of highly coordinated, proactive planning. The county successfully navigated complex legal frameworks to ensure the capital would be available long before the existing Coliseum failed. They achieved this through an intergovernmental agreement. The county pledges its own revenues to back the debt issued by the Development Authority. This specific financial architecture allowed the Commission to authorize the debt without putting a separate arena referendum directly on the ballot for taxpayers to vote on. The venue was engineered down to the sightlines and aesthetics, paying deliberate homage to the region's rich musical history that produced legends like Little Richard. This process proves that Macon-Bibb County possesses the administrative capacity and financial expertise to solve nine-figure infrastructure challenges when the political will aligns with economic development. The Bibb County Law Enforcement Center operates under an entirely different set of standards. For years, public records have documented deep systemic decay inside the facility. This section of the county's public graphic lists the documented crises. A June 2025 Gland jury presentment explicitly characterized the living conditions inside as disgusting and inhumane. Inspectors detailed severe physical hazards. Inmates were found sleeping on the floors due to overcrowding. Mechanical locks on cell doors were chronically broken, and the sheriff's office operated with debilitating staffing shortages. The public graphic also highlights a severe resource gap. The sheriff publicly estimated that more than 300 inmates require mental health or substance use services. The new modular expansion designates exactly 24 mental health beds. Treating a constitutionally mandated detention center as a deferred liability creates an environment where physical deterioration outpaces human oversight. Eventually, failure becomes a mathematical certainty. That inevitable breaking point finally arrived on the night of October 16, 2023, when 4 high-profile inmates successfully escaped the facility. They didn't deploy advanced tactics. They simply exploited the known vulnerabilities that grand juries had warned about, climbing through a damaged window and slipping through a compromised perimeter fence. The resulting month-long manhunt created an undeniable public safety emergency. It was the catalyst that finally forced the county to expedite the $31 million modular jail expansion. The timeline shows that local leaders treated the deterioration of essential life safety infrastructure as an administrative emergency only after the hazard physically spilled out into the community. Examining these capital priorities is not an argument against building arenas, creating jobs, or pursuing economic growth, but ignoring safety infrastructure carries a severe cost. Years of deferred maintenance at the jail coincided with unmanageable operational strain on law enforcement, rising violence, and loss of life among inmates and deputies. These compounding failures eventually escalated beyond local control, prompting United States senators to formally request a federal civil rights investigation by the Department of Justice. Delaying essential maintenance does not actually save public money. It merely transfers the cost from concrete and steel to human lives and massive legal liabilities. Democratic accountability requires active oversight, especially when formal participation is low. This section of the infographic documents the participation gap. The 2025 SPLOST referendum that provides funding for the jail expansion passed with roughly 5.2% voter turnout, just 6,250 ballots cast. Citizens have the right to examine how public capital is committed. Attend county commission meetings, review SPLOST project schedules, and track Development Authority bond actions. And when local leaders request hundreds of millions of dollars for the future, ask them one question: where is the comprehensive, publicly transparent plan for the Bibb County Jail?
This has been another Know Your Government guide, because an informed citizen is one of the strongest foundations of a healthy community.
Know Your Government is an independent civic education initiative dedicated to helping residents understand how local government works through official records, budgets, and publicly available information.